And we are back here with Metalholic on Metal Nation Radio. You just heard Cock from Andi Deris and the Bad Bankers, and here with us tonight, the Bad Banker himself and Helloween frontman Andi Deris. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, thank you.
It's good to finally get a chance to sit down and talk with you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. It took almost a decade and a half to get the third solo album out of you. It's clear you have a lot on your mind with $1 million haircuts on 10-cent heads. Tell us about the new record.
Well, it's actually a collection. As you just mentioned, it's 1.5 decades nearly, mainly because from the year of 2000 on, I suddenly was the main songwriter for Helloween, so each and every song that I've written more or less went onto a Helloween album, which is on one side a great honor. On the other side, you don't have any leftovers anymore for solo albums or stuff like that. So each and every record with Helloween, I only had 1 or 2 songs left over, which I really loved. And it takes then some years to finally have 11, 12 songs for an album. And honestly, I thought, okay, it really pisses me off what's going down these days when I see all these motherfuckers in the banks and all these managers and wannabe riches, and they just go and want to make money. It doesn't matter if they hurt anybody, if they kill somebody, or they are just without conscience, without moral, without ethics. And actually it pisses me off. So I thought, okay, this is the right time to write down my thoughts and kind of erase my mental hard drive and put out an album.
And it came out fantastic. I'm loving the album. And you, like you said, you've had 14 years to gather these songs. So can we assume then, by how distinctly different they are, that they've sort of been piling up in your heavy metal piggy bank?
Well, it's obviously for people who know Helloween, it's obviously that these songs would never fit on a Helloween album. Maybe 2 or 3 if you really would rape them into the Helloween style. But I think the outturn wouldn't be as good as leaving them the way they are.
Right. So which track on this album is like the one that you've had sitting around the longest waiting?
Oh, that must have been Who Am I? That kind of ballad thing.
Right.
This goes on for at least 10, 11 years. And yeah, we tried it with Helloween, but as soon as you put like double bass or twiggle double 16 or 30 or 32 staccato guitars, when you add these, it loses. It's I don't know, the heaviness is blown away then. So we tried it 2 or 3 times and finally called it a day like 6-7 years ago and never touched it again.
Well, now it seems like you approach this a bit more like a band project, and I understand the band that you use is actually your son's former band. How did you make that choice?
Well, that was a funny story because we had Celebration Day here on the Spanish island of Tenerife, and the main city here in the North Coast, they make some music festivals each and every year, and there were bands playing, and I was there with my lady and having a nice glass of red wine and watching a band. And I said, look, I mean, these guys are crazy. This is a kind of Jimi Hendrix guitarist with a Slipknot drummer and a Radiohead singer. And the singer is playing funk guitar. It was a weird mixture, but really impressive. So I thought, okay, maybe I should ask these boys if they would like to help me for the next album. And my lady looked at me and said, well, you really don't realize the boys on stage? And I said, no, should I? I said, this is the ex-band of your son. But the last time I've seen them, actually, to defend myself now, was 4 or 5 years earlier when they were still bloody teenagers. Now you saw some real muscle-packed, bearded men on stage, so I would never have come up with the idea that these were like the band of my own son. So, I asked them, and they said, yeah, it would be an honor, and here we go.
And you alluded to this before, there's definitely some real anger and perhaps disgust present in some of the lyrics on the album. Cock seems like a good example. Why all the hostility?
Oh, well, actually, if you I mean, there are like tons of discussions on television, and blah, 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 blah. They blah the shit out of themselves. But nothing goes down, nothing goes on, no results, no solutions. And actually, the only thing to really get heard is get out on the street and call them motherfucker and every word you have in your head. I mean, otherwise they probably will never hear you. I think discussions and politics, and it won't change a thing, because we have to be realistic on this point. I mean, the politicians are so involved into with the banking system. It will never change. They will never they will never do a law against the bankers and against abuse. Yes, they say they will, but honestly, it's never enough, because the politicians earn with the bankers. We all know that. It's an unwritten thing. Everybody knows. It's an open secret.
Everybody's in somebody's pocket.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, I see the only solution will be that the people really go on the street and like in Spain, for example, when they really burned a bank, I thought, okay, I wonder that this did not happen like years earlier.
Now, on Don't Listen to the Radio, you seem like you're saying that far too many people are sort of propaganda junkies and lemmings, just believing everything they're fed through the media and pop culture.
Yes, honestly, myself, you, and everybody else, we believe way too much what we listen and see on television, because it's always a matter of where you are and which regime is behind you. So let's say you're in America, we are in Europe, I'm in Europe. So if this is European television talking about some crisis we would have, like America and Europe would have a, economic crisis. So the European picture in the news is completely different than the stories you hear on the American television. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. But who has the time to actually watch European television and American television and actually read between the lines and find out the truth? Nobody has the time to do that, So media is, in my eyes, a very dangerous thing, because it's always from one side of the table, So if you only look at one side of the coin, you'll never understand the whole story. And this is what happens nowadays, because we have these times of so-called globalizations. Yeah, but actually we don't, because the more globalization you see, the more nationalism you see in your own lands, in your own country's television, for example. And this is something that I really don't like. When we're on world tour, you see when you change countries, for example, you see the same news, but with a whole different mind behind it, a whole different opinion behind it, because it really happens who is bundling with whom, and So at the end of the day, it's very dangerous, the times we're living in, and I don't want to see this whole system blow up in the air, because honestly, I think our Western system is still the best compromise we found in the last 1,000 years. So I would rather stick with that system, but make it healthy again.
Right, absolutely. Now, there's a beautiful song on the album that you had written for a project called Ladies' Voice, Our Voices Against Cancer, called Anamoria, but you've redone it for the album. Tell us a little bit about that song and why you chose to re-record it for the album.
Well, it actually was quite clear that I want to re-record it, because I had a discussion with the Ladies' Voice, and they said they could need every help they can get. So I thought, okay, put it on the album, make a nice note for the people that this is the address for the website, and you may donate $1 or $2. Everything helps. That's why I actually put it on the album as well. The whole story started with a very good friend of mine. She lost both her parents to cancer, and she's actually my first vocal pupil, so to say. Must have been 3,000 years ago. Anyway, we're still friends, and from time to time, she visits me here on the island. It's one of her favorite islands, so she tries to make once, at least twice, sometimes a year holidays here in Tenerife on the Canary Islands. And last time I saw her, she said, look, I have this lady's voice, and we just walk the city and sing in each and every corner and collect money. And just by that, we collected nearly 20,000 euro. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. I mean, just by singing on the street, collecting 20,000 euros for cancer help, this is great. And I thought, okay, how can I help? And she said, well, if you would like to write a song for us, that we may hook it up on the website and make people go onto the website, listen to the song, that would be fantastic. And that's what I did. And they recorded it voluntarily for free in a studio in South Germany, with lots of local, more or less known people, great musicians. This is the version you can hear on the website, ladiesvoice.de, DE for Deutschland, which is Germany.
Right.
Yeah, and I just recorded it the way I had it on the demo, just Andy, for the people who want to listen to the solo record.
Also on the album, I sense another theme, that humanity as a whole is sort of entitled and insatiable in its needs. No matter how much we obtain or achieve, we seem to take for granted and keep searching for more, for better.
Yeah. That's a sad truth, isn't it? Honestly, I have to see myself here and look in the mirror and say, what an asshole sometimes you are. Because I got so much things. I have all the success I ever dreamt of, playing in a popular heavy metal band, touring the world. I got no problem with money, and I got a healthy son. I got a great wife. So actually, I live a dream. But nevertheless, you always see something that you want. Suddenly, you realize, I want this, and suddenly life is getting bad because you can't get it. Why would I actually need a better car, or a second or third car, or a bigger house? Or I'm already living in a nice house with a swimming pool and a great view on the Atlantic Ocean. But still, I see myself sometimes complaining, and then I hate myself, and I go like, "What the fuck do you need more? I mean, you should be thankful." You know what I think our biggest problem is? That whenever we fulfill a dream, whatever that dream is, the dream becomes reality. And actually, you're getting used to that. Whatever it is, you're getting used to that in such a short time, and you need another dream. Actually, whenever you fulfill a dream, you just lose a dream, and you gain nothing. That's a sad realistic thing I learned. Let's say you want a Ferrari. You live for a Ferrari. You work for a Ferrari. You dream of it. After 10 years, you have enough money. You buy that Ferrari. But then your dream is gone. You got the Ferrari, and I swear to God, in 1 year you are used to your Ferrari, and it's nothing special anymore. And that's the way we are.
And unfortunately, that translates into relationships, which can be really unhealthy. And I think that's why. And in our society now, we've gotten, it's like fast food relationships too. It's like, well, this isn't working out. I'll go grab another one, But so now, Helloween has been your life for 2 decades now. Is $1 million haircuts on 10-cent heads just another creative outlet for you, or is it also a means to recharge and reinvigorate your passion for Helloween?
Well, it would probably be both of it. It's always fun, put it that way. I got my studio down there in the first floor, so I just walk down the stairs and I'm in my studio. So for me, it's just hobby, and I'm definitely aware that I'm in a very, very happy situation to have a hobby as my profession. So I always try to do something creative. Sometimes it's bullshit and you don't even want to hear it and don't want to listen to it. But it's always fun to try to create. That's actually my main kick in the ass, put it that way. If it, I don't know. I'm happy to do the next production with Helloween, but I don't think I'm more happy now than I would have been without the album. Right. So it doesn't make a difference for me. People have to know that I'm just a musician sitting down with my guitar. That's my biggest hobby, in front of the television, a nice whiskey, and that's my life.
Making music. And without responsibility. I don't ask myself if it fits here, or if it's Helloween, or if it's not Helloween, or for whomever it could be. I just want to create something, and my biggest thank you is when I sit down, listen to my song, and I say, yeah, I love it. That's my biggest thank you for myself. And then the professional thing starts when you go when you ask yourself, oh, will it be liked by the other people? Will it be loved by the fans? Blah, blah, blah. That's a whole different part of the whole creation process, because then you have to go to the studio and record for real for the album, which has to be sold, and you have to make money with that, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I hate that, but it's part of the game, and without that part of the game, I could not make my living with it, Right. Well, we can't talk to Andi Deris and not at least talk a little bit about Helloween. You guys should be recording a new album this year and everything, but 20 years ago, you made something of what must have been a terrifying leap from Peak Cream 69 to Helloween. Can you take us back and share a memory or two of what it was like writing and recording that first album with the band Master of the Rings?
Yeah, that was very, very thrilling, because coming from a hard rock glam metal band like Pink Cream 69, I wasn't so sure if I would have a future there in this heavy metal, speed metal band Helloween. Nevertheless, I knew that the boys loved the songs I write, so I was at least happy to be in the band, because I knew that Waiki, the guitarist, and Marcus, the bass player, mainly, they really love the shit I do. So that was great. But that's pretty much the same story, because that was the creation process. Then the serious thing starts when you see yourself in the studio and suddenly you realize, okay, this time for real. That's nearly, I don't know, that takes the fun away. This time for real means now you record the album forever, for eternity, and you can't change it anymore, blah, blah, blah. So, but it feels like, okay, you have to do the best you can, and the best is never good enough. And, it takes away a lot of fun. Right. So when the album was finished, we listened to it, we were super happy, but we were so unsure, so afraid, so scared of how the people would react to this album, because it was not the typical Helloween they knew from the 80s. It was suddenly a mixture of Pink Cream and Helloween, with a completely different singer on it, because Michael Kiske, the former singer, was a great singer in the classical way,
right?
Like, and suddenly there's this Andi Deris, who is this more or less rock and roll heavy rock singer, and I wasn't quite sure if this would be accepted. But I remember we did, Waiki and I, my guitarist and I, we did a promotion tour for Europe, sitting in the car, and the album was out 2 days. Released 2 days, and we received phone call into the car saying, your album is just #1 Japan, and your album just hit the top 20 in Germany, and so on and what so forth. And we were partying in the car. Then the next came, like 5 minutes later, the next call came and said, by the way, you're already platinum in Japan after 1 day just by pre-orders. And it was like fantastic. This was suddenly such a great relief, because that means, okay, the people accept this new constellation, the people accept that new style that was involved into the old style, blah, blah, blah. That was such a great relief. I'll never forget that. Probably my greatest moment in my life.
I can imagine. And, it's an interesting thing that I sort of noticed when going back and listening to the whole Helloween catalog. Helloween was never really known for doing cover songs, but when you guys did the Master of the Rings sessions, you recorded a Kiss tune and a Thin Lizzy tune, which sort of seemed to be a continuing pattern moving forward. And they always showed up on the extended versions of the discs or the remasters, but they were out there. Was that sort of your doing, a different vibe in the band? You guys decided you wanted to have some fun with some of that?
Yeah, I'm afraid that was me, because my biggest hobby is playing guitar. So I was never the guy who actually fought for the microphone. I wanted to play guitar, and suddenly, because always when I played the song to my bandmates, they said, "Look, our singer can't sing your song, so why the fuck don't you just sing it for yourself? Because there are more guitarists out there than singers." I said, that means that I have to put the guitar away. Yes. I said, okay, that means I'm not good enough on the guitar. Yes. So I put my guitar away and just started to sing. But because my biggest love is guitar, I always diddle and fiddle around in the studio as well. And I was fiddling around like I Stole Your Love or Detroit Rock City or Thin Lizzy like Cold Sweat and all that stuff. And Waiki loves that stuff too. So he said, okay, these are the B-sides, let's record them. And I said, are you serious? Yeah, sure. And here we go. I mean, this was the biggest fun, because it's Waiki and I in the studio, on the couch, playing the guitar. It was a lot of fun. Absolute great.
And they turned out fantastic cover songs and everything.
But I love them. Yeah, I love them. Still I love them.
Well, I grew up, my favorite band growing up was Kiss. I bought their first album literally 2 weeks after it came out. And, of course, you covered Kiss. I've seen you recording in your Gene Simmons shirt. You're obviously a Kiss fan. They're finally getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, Kiss is I must remember, Kiss must be one of my first bands. Yes, I would say, the second band in my life. My first band in my life was The Sweet, a British band.
Oh, nice. Absolutely.
I actually grew up with The Sweet. And this were my first steps on the guitar. And then came Kiss, and suddenly it was so, suddenly it was easy for me to play along, because we have to see Kiss as like not the heavy, super genius guitar playing. It's very primitive, it's down to the ground, but it's all you need. It's rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And it's perfect to start with as a guitarist, because you, in 2 or 3 days, you suddenly realize, okay, I can play along, and this is something that keeps you going, that gives you more courage to go on and go on and go on. So Kiss was definitely very, very important in my life. Same as Judas Priest, when we talk about the vocals, because Rob Halford was giving that extra height to my voice that I couldn't get with just singing along with Paul Stanley. I think Kiss was definitely, together with Sweet, the initial start for me.
So, well, and it's exciting they're finally getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you gave me a perfect segue there into our final question before we get out of here. You were originally going to appear on my 50th birthday bash show a couple of weeks ago, but life gets in the way. You're here tonight, but you also turn 50 later this year.
Yeah.
Time can sort of take its toll on vocal range, as we've seen with Jeff Tate, Rob Halford, and even the late, great Ronnie James Dio. How do you feel about the longevity of your voice relative to Helloween's material?
Sometimes it's a little bit harder. What I definitely have to do nowadays is much more taking care of the voice, much more warming up, at least half an hour longer than I did like 20 years ago. But the range is still there. The only problem is that you realize that it tires. Your voice is getting tired in, let's say, 2 hours. I remember 25 years ago, I sang 3.5 hours without a problem. I even had double concerts with two bands. Didn't harm me at all. Nowadays, I could never do that.
So, well, and you use the higher octave range stuff a lot on Helloween with your Bad Bankers stuff. Obviously, you're doing more of the lower register stuff, I would assume. As Helloween, you've probably got, another decade or so, and then maybe more time for your other projects?
Yeah, that's something we sometimes in the Nightliner, when we are on a long travel, we sinister and talk about the future and blah, blah, blah. So we are all quite having that common opinion that as long as it makes fun and as long as we can go without actually a rolling chair or something like that, or me with backup vocals from the computer or something like that, this is something we definitely don't want to end up with.
Right.
That would be very sad. So I don't want to see myself at the age of 65 or 70 on stage with backup tracks in my. No, I don't want to do that. Then I'd rather call it a day and maybe just write songs for bands or go out with the Bad Bankers. I don't know. That's easier to sing.
Nice. Awesome. Andi Deris of the Bad Bankers and, of course, Helloween, the new album, $1 Million Haircuts on 10-cent Heads, just about every politician you could think of. Andi, thanks so much for taking the time to hang with us.
I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We'll talk with you soon, and we'll see you on the road.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.